Tonight on Open Line, we are talking about getting out the vote ahead of the primary. We're also talking about One Nashville. We're talking about Reverend Fuzz and how he's doing. We'd love for you to be a part of the conversation. 615-737-PLUS is the number to call. Josh, thank you for calling in, getting us started on those phone calls. Always somebody has to break the ice, and then the calls come in. I have noticed that after doing this for years. I do want to talk a little about One Nashville. You both are very much a part of this, about bringing the community together, bringing everyone together. And you've been doing meetings. Tell me about what's happening in those meetings.
Well, yesterday I invited 5 people to church at our church at Corinthian, and one of the young ladies has it's called United Street Tours, and she wants to focus on, one of her things she focuses on is race relations and being able to kind of allow people to understand what it feels like from an African American person here in America, and then what are some things that they can do to, just work with, our race in the workplace or just in the everyday places that they come across. So that's, that's not my, that I'm just getting familiar with her organization, but I commended her on her great efforts to want to be able to bring people together. So we're going to have her come to One Nashville to speak about it and be able to engage the people.
And then it's like Stephanie, there are a couple of people who work with what they call people who are getting out of prison, helping them to reintegrate into the community. There are a couple of people who've been coming. So we help them to tie into resources that help them to make their dreams, their vision happen. Because like I said, there are some people who come to One Nashville who are very wealthy, and they're looking for things to do in the community that's effective with their money. They want to give back, but they want it to work. And so you've got the young ladies who take men in and help them to get on their feet, help them to get their driver's license, help them to get jobs. There's one lady who take guys to work, and she provides housing for them, helping them to get on their feet. There's the organization that helps women who make too much money for public assistance. So she comes to One Nashville looking for resources to make her organization work. She comes looking for board members, and I'm really proud that she's found good board members at One Nashville.
That's awesome.
I'm proud of her program because what she does is she helps working women. Women who make over $30,000 can't get public assistance.
But it's not enough to get by in Nashville at all.
They come there, they have a flat tire, they can't make their car payment one month, or they're behind on their rent, and she will help them. The other thing that we've been real effective at is getting people to sign up to speak at city council meetings.
Oh yeah, we did that. We spoke. We had a nice group that went down there and spoke at the last council hearing on the budget. What I spoke about was affordable housing. So that's a huge, issue here in Nashville. I see people.
And you know it as a realtor.
Yeah, so it's not just getting the vote out, but it's getting involved in the system, in the politics of the city. Once we've elected those folks, let's go and talk to them. Nobody comes to city council meetings, so let's go to city council meetings.
Isn't that the truth? If you've ever been to a city council meeting, I've been to a lot as a reporter.
They are really boring.
They're long.
It is long and it is boring, I'm telling you. So yes, when you can go and sit next to someone you don't know and you learn their story and they learn yours and you learn what they're doing and what lights their fire and they do the same, things happen. It just builds, don't you think?
And you gotta be amazed how many whites in Nashville have not really been around African Americans, and vice versa. We take that for granted, but that's a meaningful kind of experience for a lot of people.
Yeah, we got to break down those barriers. It's hard. It is surprisingly hard. I think we've made it hard, right? Like, it doesn't have to be that hard.
No. It can be fun, meeting people.
Yeah.
If you like to meet people, maybe.
Yeah. Some people don't. It's not their thing. It doesn't matter which color you are, right? Let's talk about this primary and also redistricting, which is going to affect. Yeah, let's get into it. It's really going to affect Davidson County, even with this new halt and everything else. Something's going to happen. Want to split Davidson County. Reverend Fuzz, what are your thoughts on this?
Biggest thought is, when does early voting start?
early voting is starting April the 13th. There's 2 voting locations. And
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yes,
Wednesday.
Yeah.
You can actually vote starting this Wednesday. So the biggest thought is people go and vote. You know, take a little time. I think you get the ballot in the mail, probably. I hope you do, but if not, take a little time to look at that and go and vote. You know, they're saying that the predictions I heard that like 34,000 people are going to vote.
Yeah, it's
This
always
is a
so
city of what? I'm going to say 400,000 registered voters. 400,000 registered voters, and you're talking about 34,000 people.
And those are probably the friends and the family members of the candidates.
That's
Exactly.
right.
I mean, seriously, that's what it boils down to. It
So
is
if you're
that
not gonna
one
vote-
connection, that one-arm connection.
I would agree with
Politicians, yeah, why don't they do just anything? You don't vote? Come on,
that. They're
people.
getting their people to the table.
Yes.
And then that's what caused the election.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed.
And you know what? It does take a little legwork on our part, but for heaven's sake, shouldn't we be willing to do that for our city, for
I
our
think
county,
we should be
for
willing
our
to do it
nation?
for our city.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things that happen in this city that are based on who the elected officials are.
Yes.
Housing, you know, the housing, people always talk about affordable housing. Elected officials can decide what happens in terms of housing here. People, let me see, some bill just passed about the developers. That's something that happens in One Nashville, that we're able to connect with a lot of the developers. They were involved in One Nashville, and they bring their ideas. And one of the things that developers are saying is that the politicians don't talk to us about what ought to be done in terms of affordable housing, how to build affordable housing. I'm saying that I've had several developers, 5 or 6, that was their complaint, that no politician has come to sit down with me and say, how do I build affordable housing? And then they'll draw us a bunch of stuff and show how they can do it cheaper than the government. Another thing the developers say in our One Nashville meetings is that the politicians, they waste money on so-called affordable housing.
Oh, interesting.
So and they give these examples of, like, one of our #1 leading developers says only one person on the city council has ever called me to say, come, let me show you what the community looks like. And he says, why don't they come to me?
Yeah.
Why are they telling me how to build houses? People who've never built a house. So those are interesting things, and I think progress is being made there. And again, I say to people, based on that, vote. So you decide who's on the beer board, who's on the tow board, who's on all these fair boards, and the hospital authority board. We have people talking about how much to build a new football stadium. Billions, I think, is a number. Maybe like 5 billion is a number. But no one has a discussion about a hospital, building a new hospital. That's desperately needed. That discussion doesn't come. And it can be determined by who your elected officials are. And your elected officials are determined by who gets out and vote.
That's right, and they set the priorities for the city. Let's go back to Jack on the line. Good evening, Jack. The floor is yours.
Yes, ma'am. I just think it's up to the parents that they need to be teaching the kids.
Absolutely.
They need to be teaching the kids, you know, raising them good. And they need to be going to school and learning that they need to vote.
Amen.
Yeah. Good civics education, right? It's been missing for a while.
Education and voting.
Yeah.
And the parent teacher, it goes back to the parents. It ain't like it was when I went to school. You know, got a whooping and all that good stuff. They just need to be raising the kids. That's all I got to say.
All right, Jack, thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
I think y'all have echoed this too. It really has to be a family priority. It has to be a discussion around the dinner table, right?
Yep.
My dad always says, if people would just take time to teach their children, you know.
And you've heard that lecture.
Then the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
So that ought to be the discussion in every household this week. And over the next couple of weeks, talk about voting. And maybe engage the kids. Maybe they'll help you decide who to vote for.
You know, politics kind of became a dirty conversation for a very long time. Like, when you're at Thanksgiving dinner, don't bring up politics. And granted, there are probably certain areas of politics you don't want to bring up if you want a civil Thanksgiving dinner, but it really shied away from having that conversation, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I have a funny family that was a part of one Nashville. The husband and the son are big Republicans. The wife and the daughter are huge Democrats.
It's a house divided.
Right, okay. But they live together, and all of a sudden the son got married, and his wife's parents worked for Bernie Sanders. But we get to have fun with that, and I'm telling you, politics does not have to divide people and make people mean at one another, like what's going on in Washington, D.C. I can't figure that out, how Republicans and Democrats are so divided. You voters, we voters, we need to come together and demand that people work together for the best interests of the American people. And like that guy Jack called in, talking about the children, he's right. See, that's really important, that we focus on the next generation. It won't be long before that generation is in charge.
You're right. All right, we're going to take another commercial break. I hope you'll join us right after this. Stay with us.